match point that means for H2K, so definitely even more pressure on the shoulders of Fnatic going into Game 4. Looking at the compositions, similar composition coming in for Fnatic with Lee Sin top again. And if we saw in Game 1, H2K getting ahead really by a lot early, in the second game it was Fnatic, and this time it came so close, but it was all status quo in the beginning.
Yeah, I actually think you've got to give quite a lot of praise to Febiven in the mid lane. He was playing very aggressively and very confidently around Ryu's charms. Every time that cooldown was not available, Febiven was in his face. And 1 or 2 times before the 15-minute mark, Febiven almost got Ryu. Then you look at the bottom lane, Yellow Star and Steelback for the first time in a straight-up 2v2 for the entire laning phase, playing super aggressively, foregoing farm in exchange for aggressive trades. Almost got kills, but they didn't. That's the key. There was 800 or 900 gold worth of kills that were almost secured that Fnatic did not get. And because of that, H2K was able to stay even for longer and then just win better team fights. I think valiant effort from Fnatic. They made 99% of where they wanted to go. They just missed that last little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I can only agree. Like the laning phase, for the first time, we had straight up standard lanes, and both teams were clashing in the 2v2 and the 1v1. Both Ryu and Febiven knew what they were doing in mid lane. Every time the charm was in cooldown, as you said, he just W'd forwards and was straight up in the face. On the other hand, Ryu defended fairly positive and successful against the aggressive LeBlanc. He was staying relevant in farm, he was still getting his gold up, and then the later the game come, the more important became the Ahri with his zoning. That was just really good.
Magnificent. And in the mid-game, Fnatic didn't get their huge lead, and sometimes it seemed like they wanted to force the issue, then especially Huni jumping in when he shouldn't. I should get a replay up on the screen that H2K played out perfectly, but I feel like the other team could have held back a bit.
Yeah, in this situation, when we look at the vision control, Fnatic is behind. So Fnatic wants to defend that Baron once H2K started it. What happens in this situation is that Fnatic, especially Huni, forces the team fight. He forces the engage, and we can start the replay right now at this point. So he goes in, he connects with the Q, and then he goes in. He commits to this team fight at that very moment, puts his team in a situation where they don't want to be. Because as we can see, Ryu coming in from the flank, and that is going to be very important. They don't have the damage, they don't have the gold to really make a quick pick and turn this into a 4v5. And that's the only reason why H2K is just, like, they can turn the gold into damage. And this gives them the free Baron, and that's exactly what they wanted in this situation.
Yeah, and I also feel like you saw at the end, at the middle, the Yellow Star flashing in for the hook, it doesn't connect. Steelback dashing in with his E and just not finding anything to hit. Fnatic, I think, made a pressure decision because they were behind, because they were being bullied by H2K, and it backfired on them. That resulted in more control, more zoning, and just more lockout for H2K on the Fnatic squad.
Absolutely. You have to have more patience in these situations. If you're that far behind, you can't force it. You have to do it smart. You have to defend it once they started and then hope for the mistake that comes. You can't make the mistake yourself. If that happens, you just give the game away. The Baron, the quick win, that's it.
Because we were watching it and we said, okay, oh, the goal difference is actually quite high, but it feels like a very close game because you have that imminent threat of a LeBlanc always, especially on Febiven, but he couldn't find his openings. They forced the issue. Third time, we saw Huni on Lee Sin. We had a couple of things to say in the first 2 games. What did you guys think now?
Look, there's a big debate, right? And it's something that everybody's going to be talking about. 3 games in a row with Smite. I'm not impressed with the stats thus far. 110-14. It's not the greatest KDA across his 3 games. Just if you contrast that with Oda Wonder, who's currently 4-6-26. It is quite a large difference. The thing that the Lee Sin is bringing to the table for Fnatic is the objective control. They have been able to keep Lulex to a much slower impact in the laning phase and the early game. You know, the Grump steals. We've seen Dragon steals multiple times. The Baron steal. Yes, objective play is working out. Lee Sin, I'm not impressed with. If you want to play that, hell, pick Jarvan. You're going to have more team fight impact if you're coming up against Sion. If you want to look for picks and you want to combo with a LeBlanc, pick Rengar. We've seen that played not particularly successful, but look, there are other options that you could go. And if you want to play pick style, we've seen him playing Lissandra, which has been available all 3 games. I think there are other options. It would mean you have to adjust your play style, of course. But as a playstyle, Fnatic made it here with a 2nd seed with. I feel they should go back to that.
Even in the second game where they were able to take the W, the Lee Sin wasn't the deciding factor. Lee Sin had close to no impact in that game, and that was the case for every one of those 3 games. At this point, if you're Fnatic, you have to drop the Lee Sin. The Lee Sin just doesn't work. Lee Sin, if I think of Lee Sin, I think of early game aggression. I think of early game picks. And then a smooth transition into the mid game where I have the gold lead and can capitalize from it. Huni is just a non-factor in the early game. The aggressiveness is not existent. And then he has like a very bad scale into the late game where H2K can just capitalize from it. They have to drop it. Lissandra is the option I would go for. Yes, she's nerfed, but Huni is a perfect Lissandra player. Pick that up, please.
I agree, and as we mentioned at the top of the show, Huni on a top lane has got the highest kill participation of any top lane in the LCS. He's got the highest number of assists, and that is fantastic. He always gives up a lot of deaths because he's an initiating force. You're not initiating with Lee Sin. You don't have flash for the flash kickback, and we're not seeing him being impactful at all. As Deficio said at the end of that last game, Sion, Lee Sin in a team fight, Sion's always going to give you more.
All right, so I guess we know what to do for the fourth game for Fnatic if it's up to us at least. With 2 games down, let's touch base. 3 games down, actually. Let's touch base with you guys at home. Earlier, we asked you, which champion combo do you think is the most powerful in the current metagame and why? And you had a lot to say. Our first tweet is from @Christian, Maokai and Sejuani. A lot of CC, good damage initiation, and how can you not feel safer with those tanks?
Yeah, I actually said Maokai plus any jungler earlier today, and I agree with that. I think it is a super powerful combo. Maokai's been banned out in all 3 of the games in this particular series because of how strong he is. The only time you don't feel safe is in the very early game, but that gets over quickly as long as you've got good wards.
Our second tweet is from @League Beast Mode. The most unforgettable combo has to be Cassiopeia Yorick in what was easily the best game of the year.
Yeah, obviously, easily the best game. Shout out to my boys from Unicorns of Love at this point. If you put Power of Evil onto Cassiopeia, that's always a statement. And if you have the Yorick with the ultimate, you got 2 Power of Evils on 2 Cassiopeia.
Oh, so scary.
That's scary. And that's understandable that it's like a really unforgettable combination. Cassiopeia can position herself offensively, die early on, then come back again and do the same damage again.
Absolutely, especially with help with that Luden's Echo. Scary. Our last tweet is from @OG Cyanide, tweeting @Marcel Feldkamp, which is Dexter. It needs 2 Koreans with Smite to replace me, referring to Fnatic.
Of course. I mean, when Cyanide was the jungler for Fnatic for many years, he was widely regarded as Europe's best smite-stealing jungler. He controlled when Baron and Dragon would die. I really like the sense of humor.
Yeah,
I hate Cyanide.
Oh, you do? I see what you did there. Thank you guys for adding to the discussion. And remember, you can always chime in by tweeting @LL Esports with that amazing hashtag LCS. Fnatic, now they're on the ropes. They will have to come out big to bring the semifinal to Game 5. Stick around. We'll be back with our coverage in just 3.5.
But remember, you guys gotta be each other's cheerleaders. Like, through the good and the bad. Like, if things are being really good, I want everyone to listen to Ryu about, like, excitement management.
Yeah, but Rui gets pretty happy as well.
Tower extremely low. They ought to be able to dive this one. In comes Otawamne, gets juked out. The charm not going to land. Yellowstar going down. Monsoon to keep Ryu alive. Febivin dashing in. Should be able to pick him off, and he does. Rainover flashes as soon as his absolute zero channel completes. Lulex picking up Huni. Otawamne in the front. Forget the box. Rainover's the one going down. Inhibitors should be going down, but H2K, they're more interested in the kills. Charm lands on Rainover. Yarden is going to be able to pick up Yellowstar.
I'm coming. We can actually end. I'm queuing down there. We have so much big way. Just to protect Helena. Nice.
It's all over. That's going to be H2K coming up 2-1 on the series.